from the station working for you. This is WRTV News at 11, streaming now.
And good evening to you at 11 o'clock. I'm Mark Mullins. New tonight, should the Indianapolis Metro Police Department receive millions of dollars of extra funding? It's a controversial, hard math question the City County Council will have to weigh as it considers a new budget. WRTV's Cornelius Hawker was at tonight's meeting where, for the first time, people had the chance to explain why they don't think IMPD should get the money and the alternative ideas they're offering instead.
Dozens of people wrote into the City County Council tonight asking them to not give IMPD the $7 million budget increase they were asking for, but instead putting some of that money towards social services. Addressing homelessness and mental health issues were two of the biggest that were mentioned. IMPD says the $7 million would allow them to be able to pay for all 1,743 officers, along with helping them hire more diverse officers to match the community in which they work. Some of that money would go toward buying body cameras, along with covering legal settlements as they arise. This idea to redistribute money away from police departments isn't new, but started getting a lot more attention after the death of George Floyd up in Minneapolis. Several days of protest here in Indianapolis led to violent clashes between police and protesters. And that's how we got here to this meeting. Public comments went on for a little more than 2.5 hours, and I talked to one of the men who showed up here to voice his opinion, who says he came out because of what he saw during the protest over the summer.
But I do believe that it's not just a black and white problem, it is everyone's problem. We're one large community. If you were gonna offer more training for officers with that $7 million, not more militarized weapons, not more cars, not body cams that don't work, then maybe people would be for it.
Despite the overwhelming comments that were against IMPD getting this budget increase, there were a few that were in support of it. Those commenters cited the murder rate here in the city, along with other violent crimes that have happened this year. The City County Council has not set a date on when they're going to vote on this budget. Working for you, Cornelius Hawker, WRTV.
New at 11, police in Speedway are getting cameras. Tonight, the town council unanimously approved a contract to equip all 38 officers and vehicles with cameras. The 5-year deal costs about $65,000 annually. It's with the same company that IMPD is using for its body cams, which helps Speedway get a deal. There is no timeline yet on when the cameras will be implemented. State police are asking for tips after 4 separate interstate shootings over a span of 4 days. The first happened around 3:30 Friday afternoon on I-465 near Harding Street on the south side. Around 7 hours later, gunshots hit a car on 465 at Emerson Avenue on the southeast side. Then at 4:30 Sunday afternoon, gunfire hit a semi-tractor trailer on I-74 at the 70-mile marker on the west side. And around 2:30 this morning, an 18-year-old was shot on I-465 near I-65, also on the west side. A bystander drove the victim to the hospital. He is expected to survive. In one of the other cases, a teen was injured by broken glass. Other than that, no one else was hurt. Investigators do not believe the shootings are related, but they say the outbreak is concerning. Road rage is believed to be the motive in 3 of the shootings. If you witnessed any of the attacks or you have any information, you're asked to call Indiana State Police. Now to the forecast, and after some much needed rain, sunnier days are now in the forecast, but those days will also be cooler. WRTV Chief Meteorologist Kevin Gregory joining us now. Kevin.
It's a truly fall combination, Mark, where temperatures will be well below average. Before we move on, I just want to mention we had the rainfall today in central Indiana. That didn't do anything, obviously, to put a dent in our dry conditions. We're 3 inches below average for the month. So the 1200th is the driest September on record and the 4th driest month ever in Indianapolis. Temperatures hovering right around 50 now. This is what's ahead tomorrow. At the bus stop, 48 degrees in the morning, 63 the afternoon high. We'll talk about temperatures falling into the 30s and also when highs will stay in the 50s. We've got a lot going on. We'll do that in a few minutes.
We'll see you soon, Kevin. Thank you. Bars in Marion County may have more customers tonight, and they may be enjoying live music for the first time in months. The county's new public health order took effect today. Under the latest guidelines, bars can operate at 50% indoor and 100% outdoor capacity. Live entertainment at restaurants, bars, clubs, and music venues is permitted with a 10-foot spacing requirement between performers and the audience. In Marion County, places like restaurants, museums, movie theaters, and gyms have 50% indoor indoor capacity limits, and indoor religious services and funeral homes may operate at 75%. Over the weekend, most of the state moved to stage 5 of reopening, meaning virtually all businesses are allowed to open at 100% capacity. It is no secret that the pandemic is decimating many businesses around the city, state, and country. But for one downtown Indianapolis restaurant, that's not the case. Yes. WRTV's Cameron Riddle shares that business owner's secret to survival and how he says you can make a difference.
It's the most amazing crab legs in Indianapolis.
In the middle of a pandemic, appreciation from customers is music to a business owner's ears.
Look at this. Look at this bag of butter. Look at my fingers, brother. It says it all right here.
Paolo Mendez is the general manager of Crab 99, which sits just off the circle in downtown Indy. The Cajun seafood restaurant, formerly known as The Boiling, relaunched and moved into a bigger space just 3 months before the pandemic derailed downtown life.
Last March, this COVID thing happened. Yes, our sales went slow, but I think we are one of the luckiest restaurants here in Indianapolis that we're still alive and kicking.
As the list of now out-of-business restaurants grows downtown, Crab 99 is a success story. There we go. Mendez says the restaurant has survived the pandemic mainly because of their loyal customers who say the restaurant has become a getaway from the darkness of 2020.
Cameron, it gets me away from everything that's going on in the world. When you walk in this door, they give you an experience.
While customers say they like what happens inside, Mendez says there's no ignoring what is happening on the streets, which have become home to protests and on one weekend, riots. Mendez believes the weekend of riots had a harder impact than the pandemic.
It's more scary the riot days. Yeah. Because we're really totally shut down.
Mendez says through the COVID and protest shutdowns, the business has not needed financial help, in part thanks to the landlord lowering rent, but even more due to loyal customers who literally kept the lights on. Mendez is now calling on the residents of the city of Indianapolis to do the same for other businesses and help save downtown.
Especially your favorite restaurants, you have to go back there and at least order some food to let the restaurant survive.
Cameron Riddle, WRTV.
College communities are facing some unique challenges due to the pandemic. Tonight, leaders in Muncie are trying to make sure students at Ball State still feel welcome. Heather Williams is with the Office of Community Engagement at Ball State. She says that plans are underway to help create safe community events to give students an opportunity to learn more about local businesses and to get involved.
That feeling of community and like you're a part of something, we want the students to have that. We want them to know that Muncie is their home while they're here. And it's just really difficult to share that message and get that point across when we can't welcome them with open arms.
We also spoke to groups in Bloomington that are encouraging IU students to support local businesses. A recent survey from the Greater Bloomington Chamber of Commerce found some businesses have lost as much as 80% of their revenue in the last 6 months alone, and they don't anticipate improvements. Read more about the impact of the pandemic on college towns and how you can get involved on our website at WRTV.com or by using the WRTV app. Now to the latest on the toll COVID-19 is taking on Hoosier lives. 879 new positive cases were reported yesterday. There have been more than 118,000 positive cases throughout Indiana since the start of the pandemic. 11 newly reported deaths happened between last Monday and yesterday. 3,365 total deaths are blamed on COVID-19 across the Hoosier state. Now to the crisis of violence that's plaguing Indianapolis. At least 12 people were shot in the city over the weekend, and the homicide rate continues to climb.
When these shootings occur, you are hurting a family. You're not just hurting that one person. You are impacting a whole family. When you kill that one person, you just killed the whole family.
Angel Hall knows the pain of losing a child to gun violence. Her son was killed in 2016. She's part of the support group Purpose for My Pain. She encourages anyone struggling with cope with a similar loss to reach out for help.
If you need to seek help. Don't be afraid. A lot of times we as adults are afraid to seek help because we don't want to be labeled as, oh, she's crazy or he's crazy. No, that's not the case. When you need professional help, you need it. And during times like this, with the violence that's going on, I absolutely encourage seeking help, seeking support in any way that you can.
Purpose for My Pain helps support mothers impacted by gun violence with emotional and financial assistance. The group also hosts community events. You can get involved by calling this number 317-983-1418. A major effort is underway on the east side of Indianapolis to make sure families in need don't go hungry. The Herbert Simon Foundation donated 20,000 pounds of food through organizations Big Green Indy and Conscious Alliance. Today, officials distributed that food at the John Boehner Neighborhood Center. Organizers say many people on the east side already live in a food desert. The pandemic has made it even more difficult to access healthy food.
We hope that this helps folks to have some period of time where they have to spend less energy worrying about food, and they can spend that energy on other things that need their energy, including just maybe getting to enjoy a little bit of the day.
Organizers say the goal today was to provide food to at least 160 families. There is confusion at this hour about the U.S. Census deadline. Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross says the census will end next Monday, despite a judge ordering it to continue through the end of October. Groups like the Community Alliance of the Far East Side, also known as CAFE, continue to make sure people are counted. The community organization is invested in the effort because the census determines how more than $675 billion in funding is allocated across the country. We spoke with a Far East Side resident who says participation could change things in the community.
We're missing so much, and we can look like the north side, or we can look like the south side, Fountain Square area, but we need that money, we need that funding. And people don't realize we can have that just by filling out the census.
Many minority neighborhoods are undercounted in the census. CAFE wants to make sure that isn't the case this year. And you'll want to stay with WRTV for the latest on the deadline. Next, where the presidential campaign stands at this hour on the eve of the first debate of the 2020 campaign. And a little later,
I'm sure we're going to see some dramatic transformations in the future.
Pastors replaced with robots, how technology is changing the way people worship. Tomorrow night, President Trump and Joe Biden will face off on the issues face-to-face for the first time. ABC's Alex Perchet reports the debate comes just days after a bombshell New York Times report on the president's taxes.
Tomorrow, President Trump and Joe Biden on the stage together for the first time. No handshakes, no opening statements. Biden anticipating fireworks.
He's going to want to make it personal. He's going to want to get in the mosh pit.
Almost certain to come up in the debate, this bombshell investigation from the New York Times, detailing information on nearly 2 decades worth of the president's federal tax returns. Data Trump has repeatedly refused to release, citing an IRS audit. The Times reporting the president paid no federal income taxes in 11 of the 18 years it reviewed. In 2016, the year he won the White House, and the year after, he paid just $750. The president reportedly had write-offs for residences, aircraft, even $70,000 in deductions for hairstyling costs during his time on The Apprentice. President Trump has often said statements like this.
I have great business sense. I made a lot of money and I had great success. So I've had great success. By the way, really successful.
But the Times also reports that most of his core businesses report losing millions, like his Washington hotel. It reportedly lost more than $55 million since it opened 4 years ago, putting the president's personal debt at $421 million. Money coming due in a few years. The paper noting that if Trump is reelected, his lenders could be placed in the unprecedented position of weighing whether to foreclose on a sitting president. President Trump's insisted the report is inaccurate.
Well, first of all, I paid a lot, and I paid a lot of state income taxes, too.
But the Biden campaign has already pounced, releasing this ad highlighting working-class people who, according to this investigation, have paid more federal income taxes than the president. The Biden team has also created a tax calculator where you too can go in and compare how much you've paid in taxes to how much Donald Trump has reportedly paid. This is clearly going to be a focal point for the Biden campaign going forward. Alex Verche, ABC News, Cleveland.
Watch the debate as well as expert analysis and reaction here on WRTV. Coverage, by the way, starts at 8 p.m. A not-so-scary event starts next week. The annual Zoo Boo at the Indianapolis Zoo kicks off on Wednesday, October 7th. Visitors can enjoy games, rides, trick-or-treating, animal demonstrations, and more. And while most activities are family-friendly, there's something new this year for adults. Guests 21 and older can take a trick-or-treat trail that includes free beverage sampling. They will be open on Fridays and Saturdays. Zoo Boo overall will be open Wednesdays through Sunday until November 1st. Kevin, you could even bring your own Zoo Boo.
Boo. I do lights on with my forecast, right? I don't want to scare anyone, so the lights. These are the lights on hours. Maybe on the website we can do when it's in the dark. Okay, WRTV forecast is a cool one. Not just tonight and tomorrow, but the rest of the work week. And gusty winds will make it feel cooler, especially on Wednesday. I think we'll have some wind gusts to 30 miles per hour. Rain chances are low. They're not non-existent. Excuse me. I think we could see a couple spotty showers as the cooler air continues to settle in. 50 in Kokomo, the same in Columbus. You're about ready to lead the way into the 40s. Muncie's at 54 degrees. Temperatures, at least for high temperatures the next several days, they'll bounce around. Wednesday, the warmest day of the work week, also the warmest day in the 7-day planner, but that does come with the wind that I mentioned, 20 to 30 miles per hour, and bookended on either side by twin 63-degree high temperatures. Tomorrow morning, Wednesday morning, Thursday morning, we see more sunshine in the morning. Then as we heat up a little bit, the clouds start to develop. We'll see increasing clouds tomorrow, and it's possible there's a spotty shower or two, and that's just the instability of the colder air above ground level. Temperatures, they'll be in the low to mid 60s. It won't be too windy tomorrow, west wind 5 to 10. Different story in the middle of the week. There are the wind indicators out of the southwest Wednesday, then coming out of the west, gusting 20 to 30 miles per hour. That happens to be the warmest day of the week, so that will help with temperatures, as you can see, around 69 for the afternoon high, with, again, more sunshine in the morning. A few afternoon clouds develop. Temperatures from north to south, 66 in Logansport and Marion, Anderson at 67, Martinsville, Rockville 69, Connorsville at 68, and temperatures may hit 70 or a little above from Sullivan to Bloomfield and Seymour south. There's the temperature trend with lows. By the time we get to Saturday morning, that's when the core of the cold air will be here. Skies should be clear Saturday night, the wind light. Perfect scenario for these temperatures to drop into the 40s across most of central Indiana Friday morning, and then the 30s by Saturday morning, the coldest within the 7-day planner. That's the story, Mark.
All right. Thanks, Kevin. Appreciate it. With the pandemic impacting the way many people observe their faith, the role of technology in religion could grow. Scripps reporter Usher Qureshi takes a look tonight.
Ready or not, the intersection of machines and religion is already happening in real life. In Japan, monks at an ancient temple hear sermons from a robot avatar of the Buddhist goddess of mercy. In India, an automaton performs one of Hinduism's most sacred rituals. And in Germany, a robot gives blessings to thousands of Protestants.
You could punch in the language, for example, in which you would request a blessing.
Some are now asking whether the next step is an artificially intelligent spiritual leader, and whether counsel from AI could ever replace the guidance of a human cleric.
I think that's a really important question that we need to wrestle with, just as we're also wrestling with the hypothetical possibility of encountering intelligent life from other planets.
But what about right now? The pandemic has forced millions around the world out of their churches, temples, synagogues, and mosques into virtual congregations.
We've been recording our sermons. We've been posting them online, Facebook and YouTube and Instagram. A lot of other Islamic centers are doing the same, trying to keep the community engaged digitally.
Teresa Berger, a professor of Catholic theology at the Yale University Divinity School, argues that whether virtually or in person, the physicality of being present remains. And rather than being disembodied, the technology actually allows more connectivity in some cases. such as using the chat feature.
In this particular digitally mediated community, people talked to each other throughout the service much more than we might do in a brick and mortar sanctuary.
In recent years, Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg has suggested the social network could address declining church attendance, offering the same sense of community traditionally found in brick and mortar houses of worship.
Is this about creating profit for Facebook, or is this about truly ministering to the spiritual needs of people? Trying to keep those things separate would be very difficult.
Just how exactly technology will alter manners of worship, say experts, will undoubtedly continue to evolve.
I'm sure we're going to see some dramatic transformations in the future.
I'm Usher Qureshi.
From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at 11, streaming now.
The Colts hope to extend their winning streak to 3 when they take on the Bears on Sunday. The Colts are confident after a decisive win over the Jets yesterday. WRTV's Brad Brown takes a look at what's going right.
Milestones can come in many forms over the course of a sports career. Phillip Rivers threw just a single touchdown pass on Sunday, and if you weren't paying a lot of attention, you would have never known it was a pretty big deal.
Shoot, it means a lot. I had no clue that was even a milestone until I just heard you guys in the background talking about it, but it feels great.
Rivers' toss to Mo Alley-Cox was the 400th touchdown of his NFL tenure. He's just the 6th in league history to do that. The other 5 are among the best ever.
There's always been a guy on the receiving end of all those passes, and there's always been 5 guys or more with backs and tight ends blocking like crazy to allow you to throw them. So all the guys have been a part of those, and I know those other quarterbacks that have thrown for a bunch of yards and touchdowns would say the same.
Rivers also eclipsed 60,000 yards, a number only reached by that same set of 5 QB legends.
The milestones are meaningful. I could sit here and tell you they don't matter and I don't care about them. They are meaningful. I've dreamed of playing quarterback in this league since I was a little kid, and some of those guys, there's still some guys that are far, far and away on that list.
Cornerback TJ Carey is in his 7th NFL season, first with the Colts. His pick 6 on Sunday was the first time in his career that Carey took one to the end zone.
Throughout my career, I've had my opportunities to play out there, but I didn't feel as comfortable. And so this offseason was really big for me to work in the outside. And it's been paying off. It's really been paying off in the sense of the coaches always putting us in the best position.
The Colts defense will get an interesting challenge in Week 4 on the road to face the Bears. Chicago coming off a huge comeback win on Sunday. Nick Foles replaced Mitch Trubisky at quarterback, and on Monday, Foles was named Chicago's new starter. The Bears are 3-0, but the Colts are an early 2-point favorite on the road. And how about some baseball this week? We've got the wild card playoffs coming up on WRTV. The postseason expands to 16 teams. Best of 3 series in this opening round. Astros and the Twins tomorrow at 2. The Cubs and Marlins on Wednesday afternoon. That's game 1 at Wrigley Field. A little dose of October this final week of September. Brad Brown, WRTV Sports.
We'll start with some sunshine and cooler temperatures. We'll pick up afternoon clouds as we go through the day. Should stay dry, but an isolated shower can't be ruled out.
Thanks for joining us for WRTV News at 11. GMI heads your way at 4:30. Have a good night.